There are moments in history not written in ink, but carved in silence. No war, no fallen crown, no collapsing city. And yet there are nights when the sky listens. Nights when a sound rises from the earth, and what trembles is not the ground, but unseen layers of existence no human eye has ever reached. Imagine a very early dawn near Mecca. No noise, no lights, no crowd waiting for something great. Just that stillness before the sun appears, when the world is half asleep. The city quiet, the streets still cool, and history passing by, humanity unnoticed. No sign warned that a moment was about to unfold, a moment that would one day change the way people listen to the Quran forever. In a quiet place, a man stands alone. No throne, no army, no symbol of worldly authority. But what comes from him does not belong to the earth. The words carry the weight of the heavens. If you listen only with your ears, you might call it sound. If you listen with your heart, you realize it is a call. The strangest part is not that he is reciting. The strangest part is who is listening. No crowd gathers, no curious passerby stops. Those who know his name, those who grew up with him, walk by without pausing. They hear, but they do not listen. They look, but they do not see. And in that unnoticed stillness, other listeners appear. Not from the road, but from a world humans know only through fear and rumor. They were not invited. They were not preparing. They were simply passing through as they had done before. But this time they stopped. Not out of curiosity, not to experiment. Something in the sound holds them in place, as if an invisible door has opened before them, and in what lies beyond it is not ordinary light, but a truth they cannot turn away from. They listen. For the first time, an unseen world is hearing the Quran directly on earth, not through narration, not through imagination, not through later memory. In that ordinary morning, creatures no human can see stand still, listening to every word. What makes this moment unsettling in a different way is not their presence, but their response. They do not argue. They do not demand additional proof. They do not postpone to think about it later. They listen, and something within them shifts immediately. No explosion, no flash of light. Yet movement happens in the deepest layers of existence. Some truths do not need time once they reach the heart. When a soul recognizes what it was created to recognize, the space between hearing and believing disappears. And in that instant, history is not written by humans. It is etched into realms no eye can witness. And here a paradox forms. On the same land at the same time, human beings are also hearing these words. They see the one reciting. They know he does not lie. Yet their hearts move slower than beings they do not even believe exist. That is what makes this story unsettling in a different way. Not because jinn exist, but because of the comparison. Invisible beings recognize light before humans who live beneath the sun every day. Those called mysterious respond more clearly than those who think they understand everything. And when truth is placed beside that contrast, it stops being a story. It becomes a mirror. Welcome to Prophetic History Explained, where we do not just retell sacred stories, but uncover the moments where history and faith meet. If you want to understand stories that reflect something back to you each time you hear them, subscribe and support us as we continue exploring journeys that can transform how you see the Quran, history, and your own heart. Surah Al Jinn does not begin like a horror tale. It begins like a question, not about the unseen world, but about us. Because once unseen beings stop to listen, the story is no longer only about them. It becomes about anyone who has heard the Quran and thought there is still time. History is usually told through empires, victories, turning points that reshape nations. But sometimes the moments that truly change history happen in silence. No audience, no applause, just a shift in hearts we cannot see. An ordinary morning, a voice in stillness, unseen listeners in the dark, and a response that the heavens would record. From that moment, a door opens, not between two lands, but between two worlds. And once that door opens, it does not just let us glimpse the world of the jinn. It forces us to look at ourselves. The real question was never whether jinn are real. The real question is this: when truth reaches your ears, what will your heart do? There are nights when history moves not by human footsteps, but by what no one sees. After the painful days in Taif, when stones struck the body and loneliness weighed on the heart in a way only those entrusted with a mission can understand, it seemed as if every door had closed. Yet in Revelation, the darkest hours sometimes open the deepest doors, not doors of worldly victory, but doors into the unseen. And it was a quiet night. No crowd, no light, no sign that something extraordinary was about to unfold. The prophet stood among his companions and calmly asked that one of them accompany him. No explanation, no promise, no description of what they would face. And that silence made the invitation heavier. No one stepped forward at first, not from lack of love, but because some invitations carry a depth the soul feels before the mind understands. That night felt different. The invitation was repeated. The silence remained. Until a young man stood up. Abdullah ibn Masud was not the tallest, not the most prominent among the companions. But there are moments when Allah chooses humble hearts to witness extraordinary events. He stepped forward not because he felt no fear, but because his love for the messenger outweighed the fear he could not yet name. They walked into the darkness, leaving behind the faint lights of Mecca, heading toward a place that would later be remembered as a boundary between two worlds. The deeper they walked, the heavier the darkness. No clear road, no familiar sounds. Abdullah did not know where they were going. Faith is sometimes not knowing the destination, but continuing without a map. Then they stopped. No visible sign marked the place, but the prophet stopped as if they had arrived exactly where they were meant to be. He drew a line on the ground, simple, short. Yet few lines in history have carried such meaning. Abdullah was told to stand inside it, and then came the instruction. Do not step outside this line no matter what happens. Not if you see something frightening, and not if you hear something strange, no matter what. That was not just a command, it was a test. The prophet walked away into the darkness, disappearing from sight. For the first time that night, Abdullah stood alone. Just him, a line drawn in the sand, and a darkness that began to feel alive. At first, silence, then sounds, not wind, not human voices, sounds he had never heard before, and then movement, not movement like human steps, no clear forms, just shifting shadows the eye could not grasp, but the heart could feel. His chest tightened. Fear rose not from a visible shape, but from standing before what the human mind was never designed to comprehend. The shadows gathered, as if an entire unseen world were circling a point he could not see. And then came the greatest fear. He could no longer see the prophet. The thought rushed in, at what if something has happened? What if he is in danger? Love and instinct surged together, and with them the urge to step outside the line, just one step. No one was there to stop him. No one would know. But in the chaos of fear, another voice rose from within. Do not step out. Faith is not tested when everything is clear. It is tested when every sense urges you to act, but obedience asks you to remain still. Abdullah stood between two worlds, on one side rising fear, on the other a line in the sand. That night had no audience, no ink recorded it. But some lessons are not written on paper, they are carved directly into hearts. He learned that faith is not the absence of fear. It is standing firm while fear stands before you. When the mystery fades, what remains are questions. in Surah Al Jinn was not revealed to make people afraid of the unseen, but to understand it correctly. Jinn are not imaginary shadows. In the Quran, they are described as real beings created before humans, created from a smokeless flame of fire, different in nature but not divine. They are not all powerful spirits. They are a community, a world that exists alongside humanity, hidden from human senses. Like humans, they include the righteous and the rebellious. They choose, they believe, or they reject. They stand before the same test. They do not know the unseen beyond what Allah allows. They are created beings, limited by their Creator. The story dismantles one of humanity's illusions. The unseen is not what should terrify you. What should concern you is misplacing your fear. When a heart fears creation more than the Creator, yet something inside has shifted out of order. Some jinn heard the Quran once and believed, not because they saw a miracle in the sky, not because they were promised worldly gain, but because they recognized truth when it touched them. And humans? Many hear again and again, convincing themselves they will respond later. Surah Al Jinn quietly asks, if beings from another realm could recognize truth in a single moment, what is holding you back? Perhaps the issue is not lack of signs. Perhaps it is familiarity. The greatest tragedy is not failing to hear truth. It is hearing it so often that it no longer moves you. When something sacred becomes routine, the danger is not rejection. It is indifference. The day of judgment, the question will not be whether you heard. It will be how you responded. Iman is not about proximity to truth. It is about proximity to your reaction. The unseen world also faces choice. No being is exempt. And once you understand that, fear is replaced by responsibility. There is another battle unfolding, silent and persistent. When revelation began, not only human hearts shifted, the unseen realm shifted too. Paths once open were sealed. Fragments of heavenly information once intercepted and distorted were no longer accessible. A new era began. Iblis understood immediately. If he could no longer corrupt truth at its source, he would redirect his strategy. The battlefield moved to earth, not to block light from arriving, but to make humans turn away once it stood before them. His strategy is not loud, it is subtle. He does not command wrongdoing, he whispers delay. Not do wrong, just not yet do right. These small postponements repeated long enough widen the gap between heart and light without a dramatic fall. A passing thought. There is still time. I am not ready. Everyone else is the same. These small shifts accumulate until a person looks back and does not recognize how far he has drifted. The Quran does not describe this to create paranoia, but awareness. The true battlefield is not external. It is within, in choices no one sees except Allah. Failure does not always come from a major collapse. It often comes from becoming comfortable with small steps away from light. When Surah Al Jinn concludes, what remains is not mystery but a mirror. The most unsettling part is not that unseen beings believed quickly. It is that humans, honored as stewards on earth, sometimes hesitate. The question is not how much you know, it is how you respond. Each time the Quran is recited, that ancient moment returns. The valley may not be dark, the night may not be thick, but the encounter still happens, between revelation and your heart. No one else sees what happens inside you in that moment, but Allah does. Guidance is not about how much you hear. It is about how deeply you allow it to enter. And when every story settles, one question remains. When truth reaches you, will you listen out of habit, or will you listen as if it is the first time you have truly heard? The deepest lesson Surah Al Jinn leaves us with is not about the unseen world, but about our daily rhythm. You may hear the Quran, hear advice, hear stories of faith. What matters is not how much you hear, but what changes afterward. Start small. Slow down when listening to the Quran. Do not rush past an ayah that touches you. And pause, reflect. Let it stay with you a little longer. In daily life, respond to truth the moment you recognize it. Correct one small habit. Release one small wrong. Return to one good you postponed. Faith is not dramatic leaps. It is small, sincere movements repeated every day. If you want to continue exploring stories that help you see the Quran, Islamic history, and your own heart more clearly, join the Prophetic History Explained community. And if this content benefits you, subscribe to support us in creating more thoughtful and meaningful journeys in the future. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts.